to the ministerials, to the end of the week statement. And I now call on the Honorable Alvick Maharaj for the third end of the week statement. You have the floor. Honorable Alvick Maharaj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, sir, before I actually start my end of week statement, just as a chairperson of Public Accounts Committee, I ask opposition to go away from the obsession they have with Public Accounts Committee chairperson and chairmanship. All this while, it was the obsession of NFP.
Order.
All this while, it was an obsession with NFP, and now it is creeping into Sorelpa as well. If you guys think,
Order.
If you guys think, that has been explained by Honorable AG. That has been explained by Honorable AG. Why did you people actually lose the chairmanship?
Order.
If you guys think actually if the Public Accounts Committee is not doing the job, change your membership. Why question the chairmanship of Public Accounts Committee? Maybe they are not performing, they are not giving the information. Don't question the chairmanship. Change your own. Look at your own backyard. It was because of you people lost your chairmanship.
Honorable. Order.
It was because of you lost your chairmanship.
Order. Order. Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, say.
Honorable Whip, you have an end of the week statement. Deliver your end of the week statement. We're all looking forward to hearing it.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the deliberation that we had in the Parliament this week, whether it be the Birth, Death or Marriage Registration Amendment Act 2021, the Electoral Registration of Voters Amendment Act 2021, Interpretation Amendment Act 2021, the 2019-2020 Household and Income Expenditure Survey, the 360 unemployment assistance payments, the rollout of the internet data for the year 13 students, and many other discussions we had clearly demonstrate the need and importance of maintaining proper identification record and overall need to maintain integrity and credibility in the national record and stats. Mr. Speaker, this week we have talked a lot about the need to maintain the integrity of the voter registration and thus truly authenticating the process of free and fair election. To truly ensure equal representation in voting and universal suffrage, one person, one vote, and one value. Today, Honorable Speaker, I would like to focus my statement on the importance of maintaining proper identification record to assist with the targeted government assistance program. Mr. Speaker, say, the Bainimarama and Fiji-Face government has rolled out numerous assistance programs over the years to assist Fijians with initiatives such as cash assistance to rebuild homes in the aftermath of natural disasters, such as cash assistance to support the unemployed and vulnerable during the COVID-19 crisis, the distribution of food ration and household packs, provision of electricity subsidy, provision of free water, distribution of MSME grants, provision of subsidized bus fare for our elderly, transport assistance to our schools students, targeting of various agriculture support programs, our usual social protection program through the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, and many other relief measures provided in the recent 2021-2022 budget and other previous budget. Honorable Speaker said, what we have learned over the years is that there are a number of challenges in terms of identification of the target group for assistance. As we do not have a unique national identification number, and also the challenges in linking records across the various government agencies through a unique identification system. Over the years, various measures and strategies have been adopted to fill in these gaps, like the introduction of joint FNPF and FRCS card, compulsory requirement for your tax identification number for various application processes like opening up of bank accounts, the compulsory registration of mobile SIM cards, and now the requirement to use your birth certificate name on all new applications, including those for the issuance of new identification card. All these measures, Mr. Speaker, say are helping to improve the credibility and integrity of our record management system. Yet, it is not complete, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, say, for many years, we had challenges in rolling out assistance program for informal sectors. While the identification of formal sector beneficiaries has been quite easy with verification done through FNPF and FRCS record, identification for informal sector workers have been difficult as it overlaps with people who are not working. So when we want to target any assistance to the informal sector, it is hard to demarcate those that are not working or have never worked, and those working in informal sector. Honorable Speaker say, the rollout of $90, $50 cash assistance and the recent $360 cash assistance by Ministry of Economy has greatly assisted government to build a good database of formal and informal sector employees. However, still there are challenges which can be resolved once a proper national ID system is developed. Honorable Speaker, developing a proper identification system that is trusted and credible is important in socio-economic development and enhancing the lives of Fijians. However, Honorable Speaker, this should meet certain principles and best practices. Firstly, Honorable Speaker, any identification system needs to be built on inclusivity. This includes ensuring that legal framework, requirements and procedures to register, obtain or use identification, and the data that are collected and released do not enable or reinforce discrimination against any particular group or any particular individual. Also, for many years in Fiji, Mr. Speaker say, people have been able to legally use a variety of names across different platforms and processes. This casual practice of identity jumping is probably why we have so many fake Facebook profiles. Informal and legal platform, this culture is loose identity jumping is extremely problematic and carries a real risk in terms of fraud. However, the recent amendment to the Interpretation Act 1967 is standardizing name in Fiji to address this risk. To ensure inclusivity, the standardization exercise is also supported by the amendments to the Birth, Death and Marriage Registration Act 1975 to allow for the streamlined process for legal name change so married women in Fiji are able to choose their formal names without much inconvenience. Mr. Speaker say, this is a perfect example of the system designed and tailor-made for the purpose of inclusivity. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, an identification system should have a unique identity and no two people shall share the same identity. With the recent requirements, as I have already mentioned, for the use of birth certificate names, all Fijians will now use only one name for formal and legal purposes. This solidifies the distinct legal identity for each person. Apart from this, we need greater interoperability for identification system or relevant officers or entities to talk to each other across government. The amendment to the Birth, Death and Marriage Registration Act 1975 also supports the principle by ensuring that the register informs the relevant state entities for any changes to a person's name. With our work towards the national ID system, this is a key objective for record system across government to be talking to each other. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, setting up a fair and efficient identification record system, we need to ensure that costs associated with the process of registration and retrieval should be reasonable and thus not be a barrier to obtain identity credentials such as civil registration. That is why, in the recent budget, government is providing free birth and death certificate to all Fijians. In addition, we have BDM offices all over the country to ensure easy registration access and also easy access to changing any registration detail. Government is also going to soon announce some changes to costs associated with changing of birth records. Mr. Speaker, last but not least, privacy and data protection is also very important to avoid any improper use of personal data and to protect individual data from any cybersecurity. Section 24 of the Constitution grants the right of every Fijian to personal privacy, which includes the right of confidentiality of their personal information and communication. There is no specific privacy act in Fiji, which makes it even more important for our system and processes to be comprehensive and foolproof. Technology is ever evolving, and everyday criminals are looking for new ways to abuse systems for their own benefit. We also must be ever evolving with our strategies to combat these schemes, and I'm encouraged by the government's willingness to evolve with time. With these words, I thank you, Honourable Speaker, for this time. Vinaka.
I thank the Honourable Member for his end of the week statement, and I now call on the Attorney General and Minister for Economy, Civil Service, Communications, Housing and Community Development, the Honourable Ayaz Said Qayyum, for his response. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I actually make some comments in respect to what the Honourable Member said, but it is in relation to that. On the 22nd of September, the Honourable P.L. Ndua, unfortunately he's not here, had said, and I quote, to showcase the extremely low standards of shoddy legislative drafting, this in respect to the Interpretation Amendment Bill, which the Honourable Alvick Maharaj referred to showcase the extremely low standards of shoddy legislative drafting being brought to us as elected lawmakers, there is a repeat of the words to provide their name in paragraph 2.3 of the explanatory note. Mr. Speaker, sir, the drafters who are working very hard and the young lawyers doing very well were very aggrieved by this comment, and they brought it to my attention. And I've actually got the explanatory note, and I'll read what it says. Clause 2 of the bill also amends Section 2 of the Act to require those who are authorized or required by any written law to provide their name, comma, to provide their name as it appears on their birth certificate. There is a reason, there's a comma there. He obviously thought there's a repetition of the name. And please, I would urge the honourable members, you talk about how the civil servants work hard, etc., yet you run them down whenever you feel like it. Mr. Speaker, sir, and they felt very aggrieved, so I had to bring to attention. Mr. Speaker, sir, the point, I could not agree more with Honourable Alvick Maharaj, but I just wanted to highlight a few points. Mr. Speaker, sir, as highlighted, government has paid out in total $380 million in direct cash assistance to affected Fijians in this COVID-19 period. $205 million through the FNPF scheme was paid directly by government, 182 by FNPF. 57,700 ration packs were delivered to families so far. Government has paid over $4.2 million to provide ration packs. $12 million allocated in the budget, Mr. Speaker, sir. And then, of course, we have through social welfare, poverty alleviation, 137,987 Fijians are assisted with a total funding of $145.5 million. $55.3 million in social pension, 36 for poverty benefit scheme, affecting about 23,817 people that receive vouchers, food vouchers, and monthly allowances. Disability allowances highlighted by the Minister. We now have over 50,000 households, Mr. Speaker, sir, that now get fully funded electricity bills. Up to 100 kilowatts is now being paid fully by us from the 1st of August to 31 January of next year. Similarly, 31,000 households are getting 92,500 litres of free water, Mr. Speaker, sir. All of these schemes, whether it's the coconut seedlings, etc., we need to know that they're going to the right people. Yesterday I was talking to somebody, as I was mentioning to Honourable Siraratu, I was talking to somebody who has 3 yadas. You know what yada means, somebody with a similar name. This lady actually had 3 other people with exactly the same name as her. When she went to apply for the passport at the passport office, they said, hey, why are you giving us the wrong birth date? Your birth date is this. But it was actually the birth date of somebody else. So this is even more critically important, where the Honourable Whip spoke about identity jumping. People have done that. People do that. We need to minimize that. Even if they go and get medical treatment, your medical records could actually be changed. Now, under the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir, and we found this issue, Section 25, it says every person has the right of access to A, information held by any public office, and B, information held by another person required for the exercise of protection of any legal right, and subsection 2, every person has the right to the correction or deletion of false or misleading information that affects that person. We have found so many times in so many governmental records A person whose name, very basic thing like being misspelled, to having the wrong person, it takes decades to have that being corrected. This, Mr. Speaker, sir, will actually help. I don't want to make a very long statement on this, Mr. Speaker, sir, but I want to put this into context. In the context of the COVID-19 world that we live in. As we are speaking, Mr. Speaker, sir, we know that, sorry, before that I also wanted to highlight why it's so important. We recently had a case, it's been going on, a Fijian who was born in Fiji, he was born in Fiji, he then went overseas, acquired citizenship of another country, and decided to have what we call a gender transformation. Went somewhere to the Southeast Asia and had his sexual organs changed or did something, hormonal thing. And came back to Fiji and wanted his birth certificate to be now registered as a she. That at birth that he was a female. He is now a female. Now, we refused that. The matter was taken to court, and the court actually held in the favor of the Registrar of Birth, Deaths and Marriages that the only thing that can be changed in your birth certificate is your name. Not your mother's name, not your father's name, not the place you were born, nor your gender. Of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, there are certain countries in the world now that if you have had there's another technical word for it, but it escapes me at the moment, if you had a gender reassignment, thank you very much, Honorable Gerengere Tambua. If you've had a gender reassignment, certain countries now actually recognize that. They actually allow you to change your birth certificate. Countries like Germany and a few others that escapes my mind. But I know Germany definitely. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, there's a number of issues that did not exist 10, 15 years ago. And if we want to make sure that we are, giving the right identification to the right person, the authentic identification, we need to ensure that we have what we call a truth source, as they speak, that's the speak. You need to have what they call a trust framework. And in this trust framework, at the moment, the Digital Fiji team, the Honorable Pio Tikonduondo and everybody else, ran down, are currently talking to the Australians. Because as you know that we want Australian tourists to come to Fiji. And as announced by the Honorable Prime Minister, in order for that to happen, we need to ensure that we actually have a trust framework with them, that when they say that these Australians have been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and therefore they can come to Fiji, we need to know that there's a trust framework, that we trust their system. They similarly need to know that they trust our system. Because if we stand up and Minister for Health says that 80% or 90% of the population is actually fully vaccinated, they can ask us the question, okay, well, tell us who these people are. Do the passport names match the names in the vaccination list? This is the reason why we were saying we need to have one name. You can be known by any other name. If you want to have your married name, go and register it, you'll be fine. Everywhere else you'll be known by that married name. Nobody's stopping you. But we need to have a legal registration of that name. So at the moment, Mr. Speaker, sir, just for information, we are using the European system. It's called the European Union DCC, Digital Card Certification. The Australians are using ICAO VDS, ICAO Visual Digital Seal. Their system is very heavily dependent on smartphones because the QR code will have your entire information on your phone. So when I go overseas, so if I'm an Australian and we have a system here, if I come to Fiji and you have the QR code system, I put my phone on the QR code at Nandi Immigration Office, the system will say whether I'm vaccinated or not. Our system, Mr. Speaker, sir, does not have all the information on the phone because we have said a lot of our people, well, a healthy number of people, don't have very sophisticated smartphones. Some of them have very simple phones. So the ability of that phone to carry that much data is not there. So we have what we call the European system, is that when I scan it, it sends a message to the server, it will then send back the information. So not everything is stored on the phone. These are the kind of mechanisms currently that's going on in the background. We obviously want what Honorable Maharaj spoke about, interoperability, not just within Fiji, but outside Fiji too. That is the new world we're going to live in. Otherwise, people won't allow us. When you go as members of parliament to other countries, if you are not on that system, they won't let you get on the plane. They won't let you get into your country. If our people want to travel for business purpose or rugby purposes, go and attend sporting events, play rugby or football, whatever it is, netball, they need to have this system in place. And in order to have the system in place, we need to ensure that there's authenticity and there's integrity in our system, Mr. Speaker, sir. So that is what we call, the trust framework. And the trust framework, Mr. Speaker, sir, can only come from a single source of registration, which is critically important, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you very much.
I thank the Honourable Attorney General for his response to the third end of the week statement. We now come to the fourth end of the week statement, and I give the floor to the Honourable Selai Andimaitonga to deliver her end of the week statement. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, Honourable Prime Minister, the Honourable Members of Parliament, and to thousands of Fijians watching this on the Fijian Government Facebook page. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to speak on the importance of ensuring that media organisations follow the standards set out in the Media Industry Development Act 2010 and the failure of this law to enforce the expected standards. Mr. Speaker, sir, listen. Mr. Speaker, sir, the media plays an important role in society. It is their job to keep Fijians informed. With this important role, they have a big responsibility. They have a duty, first and foremost, to tell the truth. Many reporters do that in Fiji. They bring critical messages to our people, and they support our young democracy instead of trying to divide it. But some do not. Don't take my time. Some do not. Throughout our history, we've seen what those failures can cost Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, dishonest media has played a role in every troubling event in Fiji's history. Many times in our past, Honourable Biman, you listen. Many times in our past, irresponsible and reckless reporting has led to violence and the destruction of our economy. Listen, it must not happen again.
Order.
We need honest and fair media because Fijians deserve a media that sticks to the truth and that fairly reports the facts. That has not always happened in Fiji, and those mistakes can be repeated. The Media Act, Mr. Speaker, sir, is there to ensure that the public is protected should a journalist report in an unethical or illegal manner. Mr. Speaker, sir, only fools ignore history. Those who do are doomed to repeat the worst of it. Fiji cannot afford the reckless reporting of the past. We cannot look backwards to a divided Fiji. Instead, we must learn from history. Mr. Speaker, sir, in 2002, a member of the Senate called local journalists mad, crazy, loonies, and stupid people who needed to be trained, guided, and directed. He also directed the media as Satan's agents and called them racist. People might be wondering, who was the senator? Mr. Speaker, sir, the senator was none other than Sodautus Honourable Mithieli Mulnotha. Today, Honourable Mulnotha seems to be supporting those he said are Satan's agents. What does this say about him and his principles, Mr. Speaker, sir? What does it say about Sodautus' principles? Well, they have none. They are false prophets and liars. Mr. Speaker, sir, I talk about these things and hope people understand they are being lied to by opposition politicians and are aided and assisted by certain media organizations. Mr. Speaker, sir, in 1999, the Media Council was formed to stop the biased news reporting, which all leaders agreed was a problem, and to ensure that the media had ethics. They developed a set of media industry standards that the media agreed to. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, complaints against the media were ignored by the Council. Why? This was because the Council was made of members of the media. They would protect each other. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Media Industry Development Authority was created to educate the media and the public on ethical media practices. It was also created to hold the media to account. The Media Act adopted the Media Council's Code of Ethics for media workers, which the media had already agreed to follow. It focuses on the fact that the media must be accurate, fair, and balanced when they put out news and information. The fact also states they must also be fair in their dealings when it comes to advertising. The FCCC has warned media many times to stop misleading customers who want to buy advertising. Yet it continues to happen. They tell business owners that unbelievable things, like 90% of Fijians listen to their station or visit their website. They put out polls with skewed results and expect the nation to believe that this represents what all Fijians think. Overseas, tribunals are set up to investigate whether the claims made by media organizations are true or not. It is not enough to just report what someone said, Mr. Speaker, sir. They must dig and find the truth and publish the facts. They must, Mr. Speaker, sir, those who spread hate speech, racist lies, and personally target individuals seek to use the media to spread their agenda. Too often the media fall for it. Look at CFL. They will publish anything on their website and social media that the opposition says or anyone else who speaks against the government. CFL will not check if what was said has any truth. They will not do research. They will post catchy headlines that often have little to no basis in truth. Why? Because to them, truth is cheap. They care about comments and clicks. As a result, they are whipping their readers up to believe lies, just like Fiji Times was and still is doing. That is not, you listen, that is not responsible, that is not right. Australia has a new law that makes newspapers and media outlets responsible for comments on the Facebook post. They will not allow media outlets to turn their platforms into breeding grounds for hatred or racism. Neither should we. A responsible media organization does research. They verify what they are told to keep their readers informed. When that is asked of them, the media and the opposition all come together and say that the media is not free. All the whole Fiji Times is publishing anti-government articles on its front page almost daily. This is the biggest lie to hide failure of the media to do any good reporting. You listen. Media Act sets a framework to stop biased reporting. It is important to protect children and victims of sexual abuse from having their identities published. It stops grieving families from having the identity of their deceased relative being published without consent. It promotes balanced, fair and accurate reporting. Yet the opposition and the media seem to be against that. They say the Media Act restricts media. I question their motives, Mr. Speaker, sir. Do they think they are above anyone else? And don't require accountability? That is wrong. The media have a responsibility to publish the truth. They also have a responsibility to maintain professional standards. Above all, they have a responsibility to maintain the integrity. The Media Act is there to ensure that if media breaches these requirements, they are held accountable. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to quote Dr. Shalanda Singh, who is the head of journalism at USP. Quote, concerns about unbalanced and unethical reporting, lack of depth and research in articles, and a poor understanding of the issues are all too frequent and too unique. I hope you are listening, Honorable Biman Prasad. Everyone already knows Honorable Biman, Honorable Nenor, Honorable Pio do not respect or care about the truth. Listen, that is the truth. Everyone knows. I'm not reading somebody's speech. You listen, don't take my time. This is the truth and the fact. Everyone knows that they are here to cheerleaders for Sodelco. They are all here. They are all too happy to settle for their scraps. We must ensure that the media follow ethics and report fairly. Mr. Speaker, sir, to end what I want to ask, what has media done about all this? If complaints have been made, why haven't they investigated? Are they doing anything about the current situation? Will something be done? Will something be done? We can clearly see the media trying to repeat history. We have learned hard lessons from this. you listen. We must remember the past and learn from it and ensure that media strictly enforces the standards of professionalism and behavior expected of independent media.